The Darkness Rises, which is my sophomore novel, it also came to me sort of out of the blue. I was cleaning my apartment, and a line of text popped into my head, which was, "I was 7 the first time I saw the darkness." I don't know why that popped into my head. It had nothing to do with cleaning my apartment, but it was there, and I just started to wonder, wait, what is the darkness? And why did this person who was a female voice in my head see it the first time when she was 7? And from there, sat down to sketch out what could this story be, and had the idea for a girl named Whitney who saw darkness hovering over strangers' heads when they were in danger of dying, and she could choose to save them or not. So her whole life she's been saving people, even though she has this grandmother who tells her, don't do it. People are afraid of the things they don't understand, and they do not understand this gift. Trust me, I have lived this and learned this. But she never stops herself from helping people until she saves a boy from her school who goes on to do something pretty horrific. He essentially causes a school shooting. And the book takes place a year later, where she is holding on to all the guilt for being the one who saved this person and causing this tragedy, as well as a number of other things. She's trying to put it behind her, punishing herself. And then she starts to get notes that suggest somebody knows her secret. They know what she's done. They know what she's capable of. And if she doesn't confess, they will out her to her school. And from there, chaos ensues. But again, it was a line of text. Initially, that was the first line of the first chapter. It is now the first line of the second chapter, but still remains in the story. It's a first-person narrative, so I loved writing Whitney from her voice, from her perspective. I think going back to our earlier conversation around where did we start writing from, me falling in love with those Christopher Pike and R.L. Stine books in the young adult section, I think has definitely influenced me, and I've always really enjoyed writing teen voices, maybe because I started writing and falling in love with books when I was that age. But Whitney was certainly enjoyable, and somebody I had to get to know very intimately since I was telling her story. But she has a best friend, Marissa, who in some ways is the comic relief. She just gets great snarky one-liners and was a lot of fun, where you have Whitney, who's going through a difficult time. Her friend kind of livens things up and keeps things interesting. So I had a lot of fun doing the counterbalance between the two of them. I hear them. I hear the way they sound and how their sentences and their phrases sound different. Dialogue is actually one of my favorite parts of writing. I love just when you can go back and forth and you've got a good little whipsaw happening between two made-up people. It's a lot of fun. This one, I did change the ending quite a few times. And a lot of that was, this is a revenge story with a villain. And it was my first time really having to dig into a villain that wasn't a caricature. That was a big piece of feedback I got. And it took me a little while to figure out who is the person that's after her and what is their motivation. And that needs to be meaningful enough motivation that it doesn't just feel like they're bad for the sake of being bad. So I had an idea for what the big standoff scene would look like. And that idea pretty much was realized, but who the standoff was with and how it came to be changed quite a lot as I was drafting, just based on that. They need to not feel like I'm a bad guy for bad guy's sake. That motivation needed to be really clear, and it took some time to work through that.